Hello and welcome to IdeaGen TV, powered by Azure and presented globally by Microsoft. Today we welcome Christine Galib, Senior Director of Programs at the ION Houston and Chair of IdeaGen Houston, Galveston, and Philadelphia. Welcome, Christine.
I'm so thrilled to be here. My name is Dr. Christine Galib, and today we are talking about in our power panel, Goal 8, which is promoting sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. And this is a goal that is especially close to my heart. All of them are, but this one in particular, because it's the core of everything that we do here at the ION, creating economic conditions, working through programs or through our partners or participants to be able to create those conditions and then collaborate to make them sustainable. So without any further ado, I would love to introduce our panel. These are the experts on this topic in the Houston-Galveston region. So first up, I will call someone who has the best name in the whole world. You'll find out why in just a second. I would like to call up Christine Bryant to the stage, and she can give a brief introduction for herself.
Thank you, Christine, and I agree, it's a great name. Hello, my name is Christine Bryant. I am CEO of Vision Galveston. And Vision Galveston is a community building nonprofit. And the focus of Vision Galveston is to take the needs and desires and wishes of the residents of Galveston and connect them to the resources that make that happen. And of course, the greatest need that many of us share is a good quality, equitable work environment, good sustainable jobs that are meaningful to the communities in which we serve. So I'm very honored to be a part of this panel. I'm looking forward to the discussion. And thank you again, Christine, for the invitation.
You are very welcome. And just again, reiterating the best name in the whole world. So I am so glad that you are here, Christine. I would also like to introduce a very keen and very purposeful young man, Dominique Montgomery, who will tell you his story, and he will introduce himself and the incredible work that he is doing right here in Houston. Dominique, come on up to the virtual stage.
Thank you so much. Dominique Montgomery. I am a student at Texas A&M University, where I also intern at our Center for Justice Research, as well at Diving Houston, which is a nonprofit that provides an accelerator to minority startup founders to help get their business to the next level. A lot of the work I do is to advocate for students for, economical gain, for social gain, really try to bridge the gap between the local community here in Third Ward and the rest of the country, in essence. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited to have discussions. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Dominique, we are thrilled that you are here too. And last, but certainly not least, I will call up to the virtual stage someone whom I've had the pleasure of working with for just about 2 years now, I want to say. Gabriela over at General Assembly, GA, will tell you a little bit more about what she does and the role that she's had, not only in Houston, but also across the country and maybe even the world in creating those economic development programs that help participants and job seekers of all backgrounds find the jobs that they need.
Thank you, Christine, for kind introduction, and I'm so thrilled to be here. My name is Gabriela. I am leading expansion for General Assembly in the United States. What does it mean? I am bringing General Assembly programs to people all around the US, including Houston. General Assembly programs are programs that are teaching digital and technology skills to literally everyone, even with zero experience, and it's affordable education. So practically everyone can join. There are tons of scholarships, tons of sponsored tuitions and financing options. So we are bringing educational options and good career opportunities to people that really need it and can leverage it to practically provide economic growth for the whole country.
I love that. And I love that on our panel today, we have 3 leaders in the field who have different perspectives on what Goal 8 is. So let's jump right in. Let's get to Goal 8. That's sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. That's a big goal. But I know you all are working on projects that help make this goal a little more realizable for the stakeholders and partners that you work with. So why don't we kick it off? Dominique, go ahead, get us started. Tell us a little bit about a few examples of your work that serve Goal 8.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the key projects that I was working on earlier in the year was to really get outside entities like the ION, Inc., other companies in the local area to partake or to participate or partner, I should say, with our university and our student body. We have a lot of great ideas. We have young minds, students who have the desire to do better in life, right? They're coming here to get education. They have a lot of ideas that could solve problems that all of us, know exist, but they're not sure how to get there, how to get to the next level, how to attain, how to create it to a reality. So, a lot of things that I'm trying to do is trying to help them bridge that gap between the idea and the actual fruition of the idea coming to, place that people can actually see and partake in. So it's all about getting the students to understand their own potential and to educate them on different social issues that may be keeping them or providing obstacles in their way, and show them how to overcome those obstacles. So a big thing was definitely trying to get a partnership with Inc. For our students. Of course, COVID-19 really put a wrinkle, I say, in that effort, but the idea is still there. The ION has a lot of great things. We're trying to get our students involved with ION and bring the ION and what it offers to our campus as well. And those are big things that we see in the future for our students. Students are the future, and we have to make sure that we're giving them the opportunity to succeed at all times. So that's a lot of things that I've been working on personally, and also trying to learn more about the inside, the ecosystem of startups, how to bridge the gap within those who are underserved in the startup ecosystem and those who have the capital needed to allow those companies to grow, right? So there's a lot of opportunity for a lot of people, for all of us. There's a lot of room for growth, and it starts with education, starts with learning about what's going on, and then trying to overcome those obstacles by any means, I should say. And we're really thrilled about the opportunity and the chances in the future to come for our students and for our community members and here at Third Ward alike.
I love listening to that, Dominique. And as you were talking, I was thinking this is such a fantastic, not just work you're doing, but this movement towards the aspirational, right? We're not there yet. And it's constantly at the forefront of our minds. And a large part of that work is the community building aspect to it. So I'll go over to Christine now just to tell us a little bit about how Vision Galveston has helped build that community through different partnerships, through different initiatives, through different stakeholders. So Christine, we'll turn the mic over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Christine. And I wish I could take credit for all the incredible work that's happened in Vision Galveston prior to my coming here just about 2 months ago. But this really started as a process of community engagement. They talked to and connected with and heard from over 8,000 residents of Galveston Island. And they took those wishes that the residents had for the community, and they developed a plan. And the plan is 78 recommendations, and we have different initiatives underneath those recommendations. We have Green Galveston, which is encouraging more green space in urban centers for folks to gather and really appreciate the beauty that is Galveston Island. We have Measure Galveston, which is truly utilizing data. Data drives policy and processes, and it's something I'm very comfortable with. We also have Incubate Galveston and a strong partnership with the ION to do just as what Dominique was saying, is to really inspire and connect folks that maybe have a dream or a passion to the resources that can help them to walk through that idea into some kind of a fruition stage where they can act upon that. And so it's really empowering the residents of Galveston. Vision Galveston is a 20-year plan, and we've just begun. In addition to that, we also have Build Galveston, looking for attainable housing for our workforce. We have 65% of our workforce in Galveston actually commutes onto the island, and we want our families to be able to live in the island that they serve. So Vision Galveston is just, I think, a great example of a community organization that truly is acting on behalf of the residents. There was a determined effort to make sure it was equitable and that all voices were heard, and that continues today.
And I love how you laid that out for us, because now we're creating a foundation where there are pathways for those voices to be heard,
Mhm.
right? Oftentimes we have so many people that have such great ideas, but there might not be an appropriate route, or there might not be any route at all. The route might be broken. And Vision Galveston has done such a great job. A few years since its inception, I know as we head into the 20-year kind of vision, and now with you on board at the helm, really steering the route now so that we can realize what was in the strategic plan and the recommendations. And so I'd love to turn this over now to Gabby to talk a little bit about how General Assembly also bridges that gap, because there might be gaps in education that are barriers to people who are seeking those jobs and those opportunities.
Thank you, Christine. My vision and my I'm General Assembly vision too, is kind of to bridge this gap between this whole technology ecosystems, all the technology, digital skills needed. And then there is a huge amount of people who are missing these skills, who are, let's say, don't have the education, don't have resources for education, or they just cannot afford to go now for 5 years to college or something to just gain education to get these opportunities. So we are bringing these all opportunities during 3 months program to people. You can during 3 months practically become software engineer, user experience designer, or data scientist, and take advantage of all career opportunities in technology and digital ecosystem that are just growing and are very, very on demand or in demand. And on top of this, we are trying to bring a lot of free education. So even this week, we are running Back to Work virtual conference that is available for everyone in the US. Of course, Houston-Galveston people are joining us every day, and they can learn about how to leverage LinkedIn, how to practically position themselves for a job, how to negotiate job offers, how to actually explore various digital skills and see where they maybe might fit. And once they will see all these opportunities, we have tons of scholarships. We have sponsored tuitions just for Houstonians, for instance. And we have tons of financing options when they can pay for the education after the 3 months program and after they find the job in monthly installments. So that means we are bringing all these opportunities to get the skills they need to take advantage of the whole digital ecosystem to them without needing to pay high tuition, needing to practically go into debt or go into like few years long education that is very expensive for many people, and they cannot really go and afford that in terms of time and in terms of resources.
And as I was listening to you talk, Gabby, I was thinking we really are creating the building blocks in all of our organizations that get our students, our participants, our stakeholders from where they are to where they're going in a very sequenced and tangible and realizable way. And I think that's an integral piece of this conversation, because sometimes it's very challenging to go from 0 to maybe even 25 or 60 or 100, especially if you're the only one who sees that vision, that world. And so I know that we're all very strategic thinkers. We're all very action-driven thinkers. And I know that we faced challenges along the way. So I'd love to open this up. We'll start with Dominique. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced in creating those building blocks to help other people get from one place to the other? And then how have you overcome them?
Yeah, I think the biggest building block, student specific, is the student itself. Like when you have someone who comes from a family that's routinely or throughout their life, from what they've seen, have worked a 9 to 5, right? They haven't gone out and ventured into things like entrepreneurship, building companies, doing things that go above and beyond the social standard. It's really hard for that person to understand not just their own potential, but the opportunities that are out there, right? They're not thinking sometimes in a more of an abstract way. Yes, I can be a lawyer, but maybe I can be a lawyer for tech companies. I can be a lawyer for sport agencies. I can be for so many different things, and I can make my company that's lawyer based on a digital platform. Like there's so many different ways to accomplish goals, and a lot of students haven't had the ability or haven't been exposed, I should say, to different ways of thinking, right? So it's really trying to get the students to see past themselves and see the vast opportunities and routes they can take to achieve a plethora of goals, right? One of the ways that I've been able to, I feel is a great way to kind of help them with that is to, in essence, lead them by the hand, providing opportunities, show them, hey, listen, this is what this individual here is doing. They look just like you. If they can do it, so can you, right? It's getting them in the prime position to actually achieve those goals, exposing them to different ways of thinking, right? A lot of times we don't know what we don't know. And I can't hold that against anybody. In order to change that, I have to provide them with the means of success. I was in the Army for 8 years. And I will tell my soldiers, listen, Sergeant Montgomery will give you the tools of success, but I will not do the work for you. It's a similar concept I apply, or I feel it should be applied when interacting with students, trying to get them to do more. You provide them with the resources they need. You show them how to use it one time. You even provide them the educational background on it, give them some better insight. And you kind of let them kind of figure out on their own a little bit. Little by little, you'll see that they'll actually pick up the tools more often, use it in more productive means, and they'll achieve so much by you just showing them and providing them the opportunity, which is the key word, to succeed in various forms. And I think that's, one of the biggest things we've dealt with. And I think, that's the best way to kind of overcome that.
Dominique, you used a phrase, we don't know what we don't know. And I think that is such a powerful phrase, because as leaders, sometimes we all get a little blinded by what we do know, right? We kind of say, well, we know this is how it's worked in the past. This is great. And that's a challenge in and of itself is, for us being in leadership roles, we're all kind of maybe reminding ourselves to say, what is it that I don't know? What is it that I am missing? And I think the three of us here on the panel are excellent examples of leaders who do ask that question before it ever becomes an issue. So I would love to hear a little bit from Gabby as she has scaled General Assembly, because you're starting in, one place, one city, one program. There are a bunch of unknowables as you scale nationwide, really, and then globally. So Gabby, what have been some of those challenges that you've mitigated and overcome?
I really loved what Dominique said exactly about not knowing what you don't know and not seeing the opportunities besides the ones that you have around you. Because when we are scaling, our biggest challenge is that when we come to new locations, or especially like smaller, let's say, towns or places where people are not so familiar with all the digital and technology opportunities out there, or they are in some underprivileged neighborhoods, and they maybe think about careers like teacher or I don't know, some delivery roles, and what are amazing jobs, but they don't see besides it. They don't see that they can really learn technology skills that will open the whole world of opportunities and enormous career growth potential for them. And these opportunities are available to them. They don't even consider it. They don't know what does it mean to be user experience designer, or they don't know what does it mean to really work in data science. And they don't see that they can really become one of these people who are taking advantage of all this unlimited world of technology and all these career opportunities. So I would say the biggest challenge is always to come and find organizations like the ION that are supportive of what we do, and through them really connect to community and showcase through free education and free workshops and various webinars, leaders, instructors, and subjects that are out there for them to just explore and see that it's not so scary as it maybe sound.
And I love that advice that there is an element of fear, right, in the unknown. And that can be a big barrier for anybody, right? I don't want to sign up for something if I don't know, if I'm afraid of it. And I love that you brought up how GA has free, 45-minute, hour-long workshops. If you have not heard the term user design or user experience before, come on and learn about it in a safe environment. And I'll turn it over to Christine too, because I know that throughout your career, that's been one of your biggest kind of pushes, and you've been a champion of that, is breaking it down for someone that's never heard of something before and really helping them understand it. So I'll turn it over to you, Christine, to talk a little bit about the challenges that you've experienced and how you've overcome them too.
I so appreciate my other panelists' response, because they both took kind of my first part of my answer there, because you're exactly right from the student perspective and the potential employee perspective. That is a challenge. But I've also found in leadership circles that I've encountered many people in similar roles as I, thinking that they know what's best. I remember sitting in a workforce committee meeting in a previous role, and we were looking at inclusive development and looking at single moms, and that that didn't have certain educational qualities. And someone else in that committee said, well, they should be teachers. And I remember thinking, well, do they want to be teachers? Has anybody asked them? We're not here to tell them, to tell anyone what they should be. We're here to show the opportunity. So I think we as leaders have to understand, just because we may have a need for teachers or a need for certified nurses assistants, it's really about inspiring, just like Dominique had said, those students and Gabriela had said, inspiring the folks that you have so many choices and so many resources ahead of you. But I think we as leaders have to be very cognizant of the fact that we are here to inspire them to determine which way they want to go. Because, when you've heard the phrase, when you do a job you love, you don't work a day. You do something you love, it's not like work. And so I always think that it's just beyond a good paying job. It's a job that is meaningful, that helps you live your life with your family and helps you provide for your family in the way that you want to, and that you can have joy. And so I think the challenges come both ways. And I've encountered so many folks saying, well, this is what folks should do. And in my world, it's, we need to listen. What do they want to do? And what are the obstacles they've had on their path? And how can we get them to where they want to be?
I love that you're posing these questions and really charging all the leaders who are listening to our panel to ask those questions themselves. So that's kind of, one big clear takeaway at this moment in time is, what are the questions that we as leaders can be asking ourselves? And that drives this notion of a sustainable and inclusive economic growth. I think sometimes we focus so much on the sustainable, but maybe we focus on the inclusive, but how do we marry the two? And I think that's through asking those questions. What are the barriers you've been through? What are your desires? Where's your head at with your own career and your own, how you want to participate in economic development? And so I'll now throw into our conversation a little bit about the partners that we work with, because we over here at the ION are super fortunate to work with all three of the organizations on this panel, TSU, Vision Galveston, General Assembly, to make this regional type of economic development possible. And so I'd love to hear from our panelists, what makes a great partner? What is the role of partnerships as we think about these collaborations? So Gabby, maybe we'll start with you this time.
Thank you, Christine. So in terms of partnerships, for us to expand to new city and to come to new city, it's all about building partnerships there. I can't imagine to come to new community. Like when we launched Houston, the key was to connect to various groups for women in technology, or to moms, or to career changers, or to people at the ION or workforce development, because they actually create all these ways how we can connect to our audience and actually provide all the education. So for us, it's all about building this community of partners, community of employers, community of people and students, of course. So it's all through partnership. That's practically only way how we can achieve our goal of bridging that gap.
I love what you're saying about kind of coming to a new area and then finding those people, because that's the relationship building nature of this. And so we'll go to Christine, because she, in the short time that I've been able to work with her, one of the things that has impressed me the most is her ability to build those relationships. So Christine, I know you've got some nuggets of wisdom there.
Well, I'll try. I can tell you, I've always described myself as someone insatiably curious. I am just absolutely curious about what you do and what your goals are and what you're looking to accomplish and how we can work together to make that happen. And so, we never even use the word territorial anymore, which I'm so glad, because I've never been about this is my area and that's your area and we shouldn't intersect. We have learned throughout this last year how collaboration is vital in what we do. And I'm very fortunate to collaborate with the ION. And here's where I know is we've talked about it earlier. You don't know what you don't know. We also know what we don't know. And there are certain things that I don't know that the ION can provide expertise on. And so to have those partners that I don't have to go learn something else, when I have a strong strategic regional ally who has the information that I need that makes me much more effective in doing everything else that I have to accomplish. So I very much treasure the relationships that I have in the Houston-Galveston region. And I have 2 more regional allies that I've just, I'm going to be talking to. So it's all good.
There might be a method to my madness of getting people together on the panels, because that's the whole point, is to make sure that we're connecting beyond our chat today, beyond our time together in this power panel. So Dominique, I'd love to hear your response as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's tough to follow such great panelists and everything they provide so far, because I think they've nailed it definitely on the head. There's everyone was saying that your network is your net worth, right? And it's similar to partnerships. It should be a collaborative approach. It should be a mutual agreement about how can we both, not just benefit, but how can we both grow from this? How can we both exchange ideas, exchange sponsors, exchange other partnerships, right? How can we both grow from this opportunity as coming together as partners? And especially when it comes to TSU and working with the ION, as the ION assists TSU and our students in growth, they're actually assisting Third Ward as a community the same way, right? It is a known fact that an HBCU is a center hub, sometimes equivalent to the church within the Black community, right? People who live around this community look towards our institution for guidance on various topics, right? When it comes to scholarly research and so on and so forth. So the opportunities that can be created from partnership between the ION and TSU is just an example of its importance, right? Growing as a community, growing as a city, we all need each other to do that, right? No one person has ever succeeded by themselves. And that's why, similar on a partnership scale, no one individual, no one company can do it. They have to have assistance in some way, shape, or form. And it's really, really important to nurture that and build those relationships so that we can all grow in the long term.
I love that. I love that notion of everyone coming together, like all that our panelists have been saying here. Where I'm strong, great. Let me lend my expertise to someone who might not have that expertise. Where I have areas for growth or opportunities for growth, great. Let me call up a partner because they've probably got access to the leadership there. And that's how the whole region comes together to not only showcase the existing talent, but also create those opportunities for a very strong, economically resilient type of workforce. And so that, I think, is a takeaway for me too. Now, as we head into just the final minutes here of our power panel, the last question, any advice, anything that comes to mind, any calls to action for any of our viewers here? So maybe we can take all of 5 seconds to think through maybe that one sentence parting thought that we can share with our viewers. And we'll start, Christine, with you.
Oh, I figured. Let me, I can tell you as you were asking that question, I think that I would encourage to become curious and to check your ego, to know that you don't know it all, and to be unabashedly non-afraid of asking for help. And for just reaching out to your regional allies, and no one will think you anything other than amazing when you do that. So I just encourage you to ask for help.
I love that. Yep. Dominique.
Yeah, I mean, I would encourage all leaders to really, again, put aside their own pride and work together for the betterment of our city, right? Of the local community. Ask the question, how can I be the change I want to see? What can I do to create impact around me? How can I volunteer my time? How can I give back? What can I do to make the world or the city I walk around in a better place for all people, right? Not just one group, but for everybody. So that's, my call to action. That's my challenge. Be the change you want to see and figure out ways to help us all out.
I love it. All right, Gabby, you got 2 very great points. So give us a third.
It's hard to follow after such great points. For me, I would say one thing that I really appreciate on Houston and actually would love to see continuing it is being action-driven, like really focusing on bringing as much available options to Houstonian and to Galveston area too as possible, to not really get stuck in like somewhere in the strategy or like just in the planning, but they're really going out there, talking to people, talking to organizations, and building all this collaborative ecosystem that is really bringing opportunities to people who can leverage them, who needs these opportunities, and actually who can benefit from that.
I love it. We are 3 for 3. This has been an incredible session with our panelists, talking here about Goal 8, that sustainable, inclusive economic growth. It takes a village, it takes a region, it takes regional allies and partners to accomplish this goal. And I'm so glad that the 3 panelists who shared their wisdom and their insights with us today are part of our Houston-Galveston region. So thank you all for tuning in. Take care and see you next time.